We are Man vs. Meeple, and this is a very special episode of What's Next. It is our holiday gift list for 2016. Yep. We have compiled 4 categories of games that will allow you, the consumer, to go out and buy games for your spouses, your relatives, your significant others.
Yeah, or you can drop this video to them if you're wanting some of these gifts.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
So the categories that we broke these down into, David, are family, gateway games, social games, or party games, 2-player games, and then games that we enjoy typically are the enthusiast games.
Yeah, and we're going to probably push the limits of some of these definitions for some people, but that's the way it is.
Yeah, and we're going to start off first with family and gateway games.
Yeah.
And we have 5 different titles on here that we have all played and we enjoy a whole lot. And we're just going to go through them in order. Clank, Fabled Fruit, Dream Home, Potion Explosion, and Imhotep.
Yeah, and these offer quite a range of experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd say, starting with Potion Explosion, that's probably the lowest barrier to entry type game here. Everyone's familiar with app-style games. Anyone can play this. It's very tactile.
It's almost like a tabletop Candy Crush.
Yeah, exactly.
You're basically pulling marbles out of a tray.
Most any family is going to be able to set this on the table and have fun with it. Kids love it. And then I'd say that kind of next step up is Dream Home.
Yeah, Dream Home's a really cool game too, guys. It is, each of the players are going to be building a home renovation style and adding new rooms to their homes.
It's got simple gameplay,
very simple,
but a little bit of depth for people who want to, a little bit of a game there.
And really cool artwork too. My 9-year-old plays this on a regular basis. She loves the game. Imhotep is something that came out, and I see this hitting the Spiel des Jahres because it's such a simple concept of a game. Basically, you're pushing cubes into Egypt and being able to do special abilities with those cubes, building pyramids, building obelisks and different things.
This would be the first one that I think is sort of bridges that family to gateway gap, because this is definitely a gateway game to sort of the more traditional or modern board game, rather.
The last 2 games we have, one is Fabled Fruit, which we just did a review on. It is a Fable game. It's a cool little worker placement style game, which you're going to play over a series of games.
Yeah, you can play this for some time.
Right.
If, little bite-sized, campaign style thing where you can come back to it, which I think is what makes it really good for families if they want something that they're used to. Because a lot of moms and dads out there don't exactly want to learn a new game every single time.
Right.
So it's something that some tried and true type game you can come back to and play every once in a while that everyone's familiar with.
And the cool portion about the game too is that each time you play it, the game changes a little bit.
Right.
The aspects of the cards that you introduce to the game can be played over a series of about 20 to 25 different gameplays before you reset the game and play again. The last game we have took everybody by storm.
Yeah.
This is a deck builder by Renegade Games. It's called Clank. Basically, each of the players is going to be delving down into a dungeon in a deck building style game and collecting artifacts and racing back up to the top.
Yeah, I think this one's probably, from a gameplay standpoint, is the one that pushes the limits of family game category of these. But I think we put it there because it's just so much fun.
It is.
And once someone gets their hands around the idea of a deck builder, which can be a little complicated for first-time gamers, but once you get that idea in your head, this is a great introduction to that category.
Absolutely.
Because you're moving things around the board, which also makes it a little less abstract than your traditional deck builder.
Right.
So, great addition to the family gateway category for us.
Our next section is social and party games.
Yeah.
These typically don't fall in our wheelhouse. We don't play a whole lot of these, but the ones that we've played this year are phenomenal. I'm going to start off with Imagine because I love this game. A lot of people play Concept, where you have a board and you're basically trying to get the other players to guess what you are trying to make them guess, whatever that may be. Imagine takes that same concept, but it uses simple see-through cards. And you're taking those cards and laying them on the table, and you can even animate them to try to get players to guess what you are trying to create for them.
It's almost, I hate to use the word charades, but it's almost like charades on the table. You're using the cards, and that's what's fun, is you're looking at all these cards, which are very iconic, and throwing them together. And like you said, the animation aspect, I really love doing that in my clue giving for that game, for sure.
It's awesome. Codenames is an extension of a extremely popular game last year, simply called Codenames. Pictures has the same concept. You're trying to get players to guess clues by laying pictures out on the table.
Yeah, and it's easily sort of the more family-friendly version of the Codenames franchise because it's pictures.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that it's not still a meaty game, because it actually adds some interesting layers to your decision-making when you're looking at this table full of icons. The pictures are range from very simple to kind of bizarre combinations of things,
Right.
like a cone and some sort of animal.
Right.
So it's very bizarre. So it makes you it's still very satisfying for a gamer.
And that one can be played for a wide variety of ages.
Oh, yeah.
We've had 5-year-olds play this game.
Absolutely.
Very easily. America is a cool little party game, too. This is a game that's kind of like Trivial Pursuit.
Yeah, it brings back the trivia game.
In a way, however, you don't have to have the right answers in this game, which is really unique. If you know somebody at the table that may know the right answers to whatever the question may be,
yeah, you're betting on them.
You're betting on them to get the right answer,
so
right?
It kind of takes that the tension off of like, oh, I don't want to play a trivia game because I don't know anything, or I don't know any of this category or that.
Right.
So everyone can get involved in this, and like you said, if you don't know half the answers, you're bound to know who at the table does know those answers, so you can bet on them.
Fuji Flush.
Fuji Flush is brand new. We just played this recently, just about a month ago.
At a trade show.
At a trade show.
Yeah.
And for a card game, a simple little card game, this always blows me away because you think, well, certainly everyone's thought of every card game you could possibly think of by now.
Right.
But then something like this comes out, and we sat down and played it because we overheard a table just blowing up with fun.
Right.
And we sat down. We were probably cynical and skeptical at first, but we fell right into it. It's a blast. You're basically just playing numbers, trying to up the number of the last guy.
Right, and numbers can double depending on if you play the same number as someone else at the table.
Yeah, you kind of team up.
And you're trying to get rid of all your cards. First person to get rid of all other cards wins. Very, very simple game to play. Fun. And great with 8 players.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect game for 8
that thing
players.
is awesome. With the more players, the better, for sure.
The last one is Junk Art, and I had a chance to play this one at Gen Con. It's a fabulous game. Basically, you have all these wooden components, and everyone's given a task to be able to stack these up and not make them fall over. The trick in this game is there's multiple different scenarios that you can play in it. One of the scenarios that I played is you're going to get 3 cards, and you're going to build those 3 segments, and then you're going to switch positions at the table. So you want to build something that's going to stand for you, but may not stand for the person that's coming into your position.
I didn't play that module. That's cool.
Very, very cool game.
The modules really make that one shine because there's another one, too, where you're all building and adding to one structure in the middle of the table. So it's kind of like a who's going to knock it over sort of thing.
Right.
But yeah, that's a really good game. Also very tactile, good for families.
Going to go into 2-player games now. And this is something that we play a lot. We play a lot of 2-player games.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite categories. I find myself playing a lot of 2-player games.
We're going to start off with Seven Wonders Duel. This is a game that I typically didn't enjoy last year. I'm a huge fan of Seven Wonders, which is a large multiplayer game. Seven Wonders Duel makes it more intimate. Each of the players in a tug-of-war fashion is trying to compete over 3 rounds to win by 3 different victory conditions. Pantheon is the first expansion for it. And I got to say, this expansion made the game very, very good.
Oh, yeah, and I love the game to begin with, but I really love it now because it adds a lot of the things that I think people might have been looking for in terms of a little bit more control over some of those victory conditions. Because in certain circumstances, you might find yourself not being able to control things enough to keep someone from winning. So there's a little bit of a luck that comes in that 3rd round for sure. Yeah. Pantheon adds some things to allow you a little bit more of that control, a little more strategy, and of course a couple more layers of where you can score your points. So it's really cool.
Yeah. So if you don't have Seven Wonders Duel, it may be a good idea to get both.
Yeah.
To get
absolutely.
this and the expansion at the same time. We have 2 Star Wars games in here. One of them is monstrous and one of them is more intimate.
Right.
We're going to start with Destiny. This one comes out in just the next couple of weeks. It is a dice rolling game that is in a CCG format. For you guys that don't know, it's a collectible card game in a way. Each of the starter packs comes with dice and cards, and then you can buy booster packs that enhance your decks.
And each of those come with 1 die, another die, and more cards. And the cool thing about this, the die in this game, is you look at the picture, they look like they're stickered, but they're printed.
Yeah.
They are extraordinarily nice die. And I have to say, when I first saw this game at Gen Con, or saw that it was coming out, I thought it looked a little juvenile.
I know.
But it's a really, really good game. I mean, any seasoned Magic player, any sort of like competitive player in gaming would probably like this.
Yeah, I avoided the game completely because of the CCG format, but once we played it, phenomenal game. Very easy to play, very quick to play. On the other end of the spectrum, Rebellion. This is a massive 2-player game in which one of the players will be playing the Galactic Empire and one of them will be playing the Rebellion. And it takes place during the New Hope, basically, the New Hope era.
This could easily go into our enthusiast category because it is a monster of a game, for sure.
It's a phenomenally good game with incredible little miniatures in it that represent the game, or represent the universe very, very well. Arkham Horror.
Arkham Horror. I haven't played this one, so you're going to have to talk about this.
No, I'll talk about this. So each of the players is going to be playing a investigator who is investigating occult activities in the Eldritch Horror type of universe. You're going to be building decks and competing against the game itself. So it can be played single player or with up to 4 players competing against the campaign. The cool aspect of this is that each of these boxes will come with multiple expansions that can be played over a campaign. So the weaknesses that you gain and the cards that you gain from your experience will carry over with you from one game to the next.
Yeah, that has to be maybe the single most innovative aspect to a lot of games in the last year and a half. This whole legacy campaign or Fabled aspect. I think we're going to end up seeing a lot more of that in the coming year for sure.
The last one is Schottentotten.
I love Schottentotten. This is a great stocking stuffer too, because this is, again, a little 2-player card game. And there's another game out there called Battle Lines. This is what I've been waiting for, which has beautiful art. And it's actually the original version of the game was Schottentotten before Battle Lines. So they've updated it. It's poker based. You're laying cards out, and it has a bit of a not tug of war, but it feels that way. You're competing over all of these different spaces on the board, laying out your cards to basically build the best hand, so to speak, in front of the space.
You have 3 cards in each of the stacks, and you're basically trying to get the most stacks.
Yeah, and it's all about card counting, really. If you're a good card counter in this, that's going to help you a lot, because you need to figure out, okay, all of the 7s except 1 have been played. He's not going to get his other 7 that he's looking for over here. I'm going to go ahead and grab that spot with this.
Yeah, fantastic little 2-player game, plays in about 30 minutes. Yeah. Very simple. The last category we want to cover is enthusiast games. There's a lot on this list. There was a lot of really, really strong contenders for Game of the Year. Some of these are on this list right now. We'll start on the right-hand side here. Mansions of Madness, which originally came out 5 years ago, which was a 1 versus many style game. One player plays kind of the dungeon keeper in the game. The other 4 players will play the investigators. It's in the same universe as Arkham Horror. This one uses an app that allows players to not have to have that keeper player, so they can all play cooperatively in the game against the campaign itself.
It makes the game, for me, so much more enjoyable. I didn't own the original Mansions of Madness, but I have owned things like Descent. And when you're the guy who owns those games, you're the guy who runs those games. You're the guy who sets them up. You're the guy who takes them down.
And all the bookkeeping that's involved with it as well.
It's just a touch less than being like a dungeon master in an RPG. So this one was so refreshing because you still have to set it up, obviously, but you sit down at the table and everyone gets to play together. And you're playing against the app, and it really pulls you in a lot more, I thought. The narrative, there's some voice acting in the app. It's really good. It really pulls you in.
The next game is Mechs versus Minions. This is a cooperative game that's only available at riotgames.com.
And it blew up this year and took the industry by storm.
It's an incredible value for what you get in this game. All the components are incredibly high quality. Players will be playing these little tiny, cute little miniature mechs, trying to go through a scenario-based campaign.
And the production value on this game is out of this world. It's like, if you can find a copy of this game, I don't know if Riot still has any available right now, but if they do, grab them right away.
Go check it out, guys. Terraforming Mars. I'll let you talk about this because I know how much you love this
Terraforming Mars is a strong contender for my Game of the Year. And what this game does, and all of these are meaty games, and this one's no exception, you're building a tableau of cards, and I mean a big tableau of cards. At the end of this game, people have all sorts of cards out in front of them, and it's all about engine building. So you're drafting cards if you want, and building these engines in front of you where you're scoring your points, which I find extraordinarily satisfying. My favorite aspect of a game is when every turn goes around the table and I feel some satisfaction in something that I had achieved. Like I've always said, I may lose that game, but if I had fun scoring my points along the way, it's a blast. And this game, too, has a great theme, which I wasn't terribly excited about to begin with, but then when you play it and you realize, okay, we're all not cooperating, but everyone's working towards increasing the oxygen level or the heat or the water on Mars, and those are also the end game conditions, which is really, really cool. Yeah, this game, a contender for Game of the Year.
The next one we have is Manhattan Project Energy Empire. This is a game that's probably going to be on my top 5 of the year. It is a worker placement style game. Players will be placing workers in energy up on the board. Each of the players will have a city that they're trying not to pollute.
Yeah, that's a cool aspect too. The player board in this is really cool. Not, balancing that pollution. It also has some really good engine building as well.
Very much so.
It mixes that a really solid worker placement game with some really satisfying engine building.
Adrenaline. This is a first-person shooter in a box. So if you have people that like video games, this is an obvious choice.
Absolutely. If you can get a video gamer who's played Doom or Halo or anything like that to the table to play a board game, this is the one to try to get them and to turn them over to tabletop gaming.
Very, very simple game to play. Each of the players will be basically running around corridors and shooting other players with weapons.
Right.
There's 20-some unique weapons in the game.
It's all about the weapons.
Yeah, they give the game some really, really unique flavor. Very easy to play. Kind of an area control style game.
Yeah, it's a Euro.
Which is surprising. Yeah, it is a Euro.
It's not chucking dice and saying, "Did I hit you?"
Yeah.
It's very strategic.
Yeah.
And you're placing damage on other players, and that's sort of the area control aspect.
Another contender for our game of the year, Great Western Trail,
All of these
released. All of these are,
It's hard not to get
truthful.
super excited looking at this screen here, but yeah, Great Western Trail.
In this game, players will be going along the Great Western Trail, taking cattle from Texas to Kansas City and sell them. There's kind of a set collection style
a little
in the
bit.
game. You're going to be trying to get different types of cattle and selling them to the city that's furthest away from you.
Right.
Very, very cool game. Last one, Feast for Odin.
Yeah.
This is a monster of a game. It comes with 19 punch boards.
Yeah, this and Mechs versus Minions have a competition on just pure sheer weight.
Yeah.
But this one has 19 punch boards.
Yeah.
It's probably the most complicated of the games up here, would you say, in terms of learning curve?
I would agree, yes.
But again, any of these, once you get going, and you've tried it out, they're pretty simple to play.
Yeah.
But yeah, this game is amazing.
Yeah.
It's a worker placement game that has... What was it?
60,
61,
yeah.
And 63 in a 4-player game.
Yeah.
63 spaces that you can go to. That sounds super overwhelming.
Yeah.
But once you go through one time, I think you get the gist of it. There's so many ways to score points too, which is really, really fun.
And this is by a very renowned designer named
Sure.
Uwe Rosenberg, who did Agricola, Caverna, Le Havre, several very popular games out. So, guys, that is our list. There's also inserts that you guys can buy from Meeple Realty. People that like playing board games like us like to keep their games organized. You see some of these awesome wooden board game inserts. I know one that just came out for Terraforming Mars.
Yeah, I've got the Terraforming
for.
Mars one, and it makes the game even more playable, if you will. You want to get these things out when they have these nice inserts because it's easier to set them up.
Yeah.
They have some extra added, like in that one in particular, really helps the player boards a lot because it sections them off a little bit better.
Right.
But yeah, an insert, I'm a big fan of inserts. If I could have an insert for every single one of my games, I probably would.
I would too. And you guys can check them out at meeplerealty.com. David, if someone were to give you one or two Christmas presents that revolved around board games, what would they be?
We talked about this, and I'm going to go back to my childhood and imagine myself truly making a Christmas wish. Something that's probably not possible. Not a gift that's out there.
Okay.
But what I think I would want, if I were able to wish for a present, it would be to take one of my favorite games that hasn't been updated and to update it in the most sort of glorious fashion possible. Deck it all out, new artwork, that sort of thing. If someone were to take, for instance, like Castles of Burgundy, which quickly became one of my favorites of all time, and I just was introduced to it a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And released that in a nice deluxe version with new artwork and really sort of made it, appealing to the masses.
Yeah.
Because that game can look a little dry, let's be honest.
It looks very dry, yeah.
If someone could do that, that would be my wish. If you're out there listening, please make it happen.
My Christmas wish, I have two wishes.
All right.
My first wish is I fell in love with Star Wars Destiny. I want somebody to buy me a booster box.
Yeah, you want to just bathe in a shower of booster packs for that, I think.
That idea of opening packs is so appealing.
Yeah.
I mean, I played Magic and Lord of the Rings and the Star Wars CCG. I love that idea, and I miss that idea because I don't play CCGs anymore just because of the money that's involved in doing that.
I used to get into some of those, but I never played them. I just did it to... Honestly, to open the packs.
It's so appealing, right?
It's so addictive, too.
I know. And the other thing that I wanted to wish for, I've been looking for a long time for a copy of Egizia. It is a old Rio Grande worker placement style game. It's one of the, when I was doing my old components breakdown reviews under the moniker Drakkenstrike, it's one of the very first reviews I did. And I loved the game. And I have no idea why in the world I got rid of it. And now it's incredibly hard to find. I keep looking on BGG for people that are selling, mint copies or whatever it may be, and I can't find a copy anywhere.
Oh, man.
So,
that would make for a great topic for a whole show. Games that we wish we didn't get rid of.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, there are several that I wish I didn't get rid of. That is definitely one of them. So guys, go check it out. Go to your friendly local gaming store. See any of these games that you can buy for your loved ones, your spouses, your moms, dads, brothers, sisters.
Some of them are going to be a little hard to find right now. So if you see some of these, for instance, Terraforming Mars, maybe Feast for Odin, I would pick them up immediately.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks, guys, for watching. Have a good holiday. Subscribe to our YouTube video. Please follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook. And we'll catch you guys next year.
Happy holidays.
Bye-bye.